everyone, Dave here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for the finale of Loki Season 2, Episode 6, Glorious Purpose. You won't even get a synopsis. If you want a synopsis, watch the spoiler version of this video. This first part is non-spoilers, or if you're watching this early, this whole video is non-spoilers. There'll be plenty of warning before I get into any spoilers. So one last time, let's run through the cast. We have Tom Hiddleston as Loki. We have Gugu Mbatha Raw as Ravonna Renslayer, Sophia DiMartino as Sylvie, Owen Wilson as Mobius, Tara Strong voices Miss Minutes, Eugene Cordero as Casey, Ki Hugh Kwan as Obi, and Wumni Mosaku as Hunter B-15. Also, as you know, this season we've had Jonathan Majors in various roles. Wow, what an amazing finale. Today's been a pretty interesting day for this. There's a lot of Marvel stuff happening, and by that I just mean two different things, but it's been a little while since we had a double Marvel Thursday. So we have the Loki finale. We also have the Marvels. Go check out. We should have some videos on the channel for that as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed this finale. I think everything that has been set up is leading us all to this. Not so much in the way that maybe the story is super linear, but at least in building every single aspect of this last episode. This episode is a little bit of like, oh, here we go. This is all we've been talking about all this stuff all throughout season 2, and now we're kind of coming back full circle. Of course, the name Ouroboros, which is Obi's full name, definitely a big theme along this season. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think Tom Hiddleston has cemented his legacy as maybe giving, I would say him and Robert Downey Jr. probably the best performers, pound for pound, like the most stuff, like just so much hinges on both of their performances, and Hiddleston just truly shines in this episode. Of course, he has a fantastic surrounding cast around him, including Owen Wilson, MVP. Sophia DiMartino's Sylvie character, I think, still a bit underdeveloped this second season. I feel like she was here because she had been in the first season, but I don't know that her story fully aligns with everything. And that happens with a few other people. Another standout for sure of this episode and the season, Ki Hugh Kwan. Really cool stuff. I also love to see how Eugene Cordero's role and Wumni Musaku's role, like they went up a little bit from the previous season. I don't know that we would get another season, but I could see their roles being expanded even further in the future. Last thing I'll mention, Jonathan Majors, fantastic in every any variant of the characters that he's playing. He just truly has captured how to make him feel different. So really enjoyed that performance as well. And yeah, I'm very content with the end of Loki. I think visually it looked great, amazing. I just always love the sets. Now this finale definitely dives a little bit more into some of the unknown some things we haven't really visited, and then also some things that we have. So really interesting to revisit some old sets. It's just really fun all throughout. But everything visually looks stunning. This show always had a very particular point of view when it came to some of the camera shots and stuff like that. I think the team really wanted to make this feel special and different, and give it that look that just makes it really stand out from everything else that we see in the MCU. So yeah, I think with this finale, Loki cements its place also as, to me, the top tier of the Marvel TV shows. Yeah, it is fantastic. Just great storytelling. I love how it really rewards you as a fan for kind of keeping track and paying attention. I will say this season was the first time I did. I don't remember if I did reviews for every episode for season 1. I don't think I did. But if I did, they were definitely not as in depth. I have tons and tons of notes from the whole season, so maybe I'll use some of that and talk about, use that to make a few more Loki videos. But I hope you enjoyed this finale. I had a great time with it. I've just been really hyped up all day for a lot of this Marvel stuff. I will tell you this: there's nothing at the end of the credits, but stay through and watch them. Just kind of like decompress, take it in for one last time. I think Loki's a show that's going to be very rewatchable. Like maybe in a couple of months, I'll throw it back on from the beginning and just go through all the episodes and see how the full story as a whole. Um, and like I said, I don't know if we'll get it next season, but I would love to have this cast revisit this world. I think that would be great. So, all that being said, we're gonna get into spoilers now. So if you haven't seen the episode, make sure to go back and check it out, or come back at a later time. So, to check out the full spoiler video. Uh, all right, let's get into it. First of all, right off the bat, we know that from the last episode in the recap, Loki has learned how to control the time slipping, which is really fun because now he's going back in time. So, of course, the Marvel Studios logo, the sequence plays in reverse. We start out with the full Marvel Studios name and actually plays backwards, all the way back through the flipping comic book pages. How it normally kicks off. Really cool stuff. Really nice touch that drives us back into the show. We get back to, Loki went back to the time when Victor Timely first failed at fixing the loom. And he's going to keep trying. He's going to keep going back and failing, learning. I think like that's why this episode really shines and hinges upon Hiddleston's performance, because he's the one going back to all these times, right? He probably did this, I don't know, a few thousand times maybe, where he kept learning what went wrong, how can we fix it. And now we do get, finally we end up at a sequence, and as repetitive as this could have been, it was so entertaining. It was a very cool way to build tension of like the team keeps failing and failing, and we get to see Timely turn into spaghetti like multiple times, but maybe the next time he turns into spaghetti a little bit later. So we can see that Loki's making a little bit of progress. We finally get to a scene or a time where it looks like he did it. He puts the thing, whatever little doodad multiplier thing, into the loom. They think everything worked. He makes it back inside. Victor Timely makes it back inside. And then we realize that, the team realizes that it doesn't matter what they do, they will never be able to fix the loom. So it is kind of a letdown. So Loki knows that there's something, like he needs to go back further. That's kind of another theme of the episode. He kind of needs to keep going, keep going, keep going, back further, further, further. So he goes back to season one at the end, where to try to stop Sylvie from killing He Who Remains. And once again, he's got to try multiple times. Sylvie is a better fighter than he is, so she's definitely gonna get the best of him unless he's not gonna be able to stop her from killing He Who Remains very easily. But yeah, at this point, I think one of the really cool kind of twists was that He Who Remains realizes he already knows what Loki's doing. He knows that he's time slipping to go back and try to fix things. And they have a conversation that they might have had multiple times as we kind of go through this loop over and over again, which is really interesting. I think that was one of the great things, that not only is Tom Hiddleston delivering a fantastic performance, and Majors has switched back to his He Who Remains persona, and he's like, completely different from Victor Timely, completely different from what we saw as Kang in the Ant-Man movie. Like, just very different, same person, same variant, but very different characters. um Loki then continues to talk to Sylvie from the last episode, so he time slips forward again, uh about how can he kill her from her earlier version, because He Who Remains lets Loki know that if he dies, everything is destroyed. The time loom is actually a failsafe to ensure that he doesn't die, that he kind of keeps, that it stops him from losing, I guess, which is really interesting and very, very, like, that's just like the most villain thing to do. So yeah, he goes to Sylvie, try to figure out like, is it okay to kill the earlier version of Sylvie to prevent from switching, and that's kind of where things finally click into place for Loki. It's not about fixing the past; it's about him kind of taking one for the team. So he goes back once again to the TVA when they're trying to stop the with the multiplier, but instead he goes inside into the loom by himself. It's really cool. He has a really cool outfit change where he goes back to more of a traditional Loki as guardian god look with the, with a new crown with horns. Um, Therefore becoming what we know as the god of stories. And he destroys the loom. So instead of fixing it, he destroys the loom because that's destroying the failsafe, which means that he who remains has been killed, but his failsafe doesn't destroy the TVA. So this new version of God Loki, as I'm calling him in my notes, he opens up a rift and goes beyond time to the end of time, and he grabs all the timelines with him. It's a very cool visually. It's just this is all very cool. Like it looks great. All the looms are kind of like all over the place, but Loki just like by sheer force of will takes all the branches with him. Loki reaches the throne at the end of time and sits in a new throne as it kind of reemerges. Takes all the timelines with him, and then as we kind of zoom out in a really cool, like very cool fashion, it looks like we zoom out and we see that Loki sitting in the middle, holding all these branches, creates the tree of life. Yggdrasil from the Norse mythology. If you're familiar with the comics, you'll recognize that image of the tree of life. And that's kind of where that's kind of really wrapping up the episode. Everything else is just like prologue to me. That feels like to me like it feels to me like that was the end of the story, but here we still have a little bit of stuff to visit with some of the other characters. They go back to the TVA where B-15 is kind of running things now. Uh, Mobius reports back that all the other variants of Kang or He Who Remains are not aware of the TVA yet, so it looks like they are safe for now. I think this will also give Marvel a chance to pivot if they don't want to keep doing Kang stuff. It'll give them a chance to do that. So that would be interesting to see how they kind of let themselves. They gave themselves a little failsafe as well to kind of change the story if they need to. Mobius also chooses to leave the TVA because he wants to live life for a little bit. We also catch up with Obi, who has a new version of the TVA handbook, and then we see that the young Victor Timely, who was given a TVA handbook, is never giving a TVA handbook in this new timeline and with this new order of events. We check in with Renslayer, who awakes at the end of time, or right outside where the palace, where that giant creature of time was. So we don't really end up seeing what happened. Obviously, the implication is that she's dead after fighting with the creature, but Renslayer is kind of a badass, so I wouldn't put it past them to be like, oh, she conquered the creature and now she's going to use it to wreak havoc at the TVA. We see one last shot of Mobius and then Sylvie as well, checking in on Dawn, who is the variant version of Mobius with the kids, and like he's checking in on his life. And then, of course, we go back, and one last time we see Loki sitting at the throne, and that's it. That's kind of where the show ends. That's really all the magic. I think they they really ended this in a way that it can be the end of the story. We can pivot anywhere we want. Very interesting, very smart choices, I think. And yeah, the season was just fantastic, as I mentioned in the first half of the video. So I can't wait to see how the internet and how all these people that talk about this kind of stuff, specifically like New Rock Stars, that's kind of some of the channels that I watch personally, how they're talking about it, and then what they think. Like they do very good coverage. I love doing my stuff and then going to see their stuff to see how many things that maybe we look at similarly, we look at differently. And yeah, I just think that this season of Loki was incredible. And I'm very happy with it. It's been a good Marvel day. So stay tuned for more coverage, maybe on Loki. For sure, we'll have the Marvels videos on the channel. There's a lot to talk about there as well. So yeah, Marvel fans, I feel personally that we're having a good time this weekend. So if you watch this show, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. The strike is over, so we'll be covering movies as long as the deal's in place or whatever, this temporary deal's in place, and we don't hear anything else otherwise. We'll start covering trailers on the channel again, and we'll be a little bit more proactive with our movie and TV coverage, as well as we'll finally be dropping some reviews for Barbie and Oppenheimer. When the strike started, I said I wouldn't release any coverage for those films until the strikes were over. So here we are now. So looking forward to talking about that as well. So yeah, great season, great journey, and thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.